Greetings people, once here to a new video. Uh, I was chatting with a friend from Pakistan who likes Brazilian football, so I decided to introduce to the world the most important sports club of our country. Salam alaikum, Masood. This is the beginning of an English spoken playlist at my channel. So, if you want to know more about Brazil, ask me in the comments for new videos, okay? Well, as English is not my native idiom, please allow me to read what I wrote, okay? I beg your pardon. May my friends who are supporters of other clubs forgive me, but yes, Vasco da Gama is the most important club from Brazil. This club that united Portuguese and multi-ethnic Brazilian people began as a rowing club in August 21st of 1898 and began its football team in 1915, receiving the same year the Lusitania's players whose former team was ending up their works. Despite of knowing that the sport is called soccer in many countries, I would prefer to call it football because of its English origins, okay? The reason why Vasco da Gama is the most important club from Brazil is that without Vasco's struggles, the world could not have met Garrincha, Romário, Ronaldo Nazário, the phenomenal, Ronaldo Assis, Neymar Jr., nor Marta Silva, six-time best football player in the world, or even Pelé, Hail the King. And let me explain. Among the Brazilian club, Vasco had the first non-white club president when racism was very common among sports practitioners. It was Cândido José de Araújo, a mixed-race man in 1904. When football was introduced in Brazil, as well as in England, it was considered an aristocratic sport practiced mostly by engineers and other industrial workers, most of them English white men. As Brazilian people enjoy new things and are very creative, they decided to imitate the football players and began to play a footballish game wherever they could, kicking whatever they would call a ball, and thus creating a national institution, the pelada. Why pelada? Pelada is something like nude because they play either barefoot and normally without shirts, wherever they could, rarely on a lawn. When Vasco entered the Metropolitan League of Rio de Janeiro, it accepted black men, mixed-race men, and proletarian workers that were dismissed of part of daily work to practice aiming the weekend's matches. Other teams like Botafogo, Flamengo, and Fluminense did not like that because, despite being better and scoring more in the first half of the match, the Vasco players, by having practiced during the week, turned the table in the second half, making Vasco be known as the turntable team. O Vasco é o time da virada, o Vasco é o time do amor. In 1923, Vasco won the Metropolitan League, but by hiring paid players as if they were workers of the club members' establishments, deceiving the football's amateurism rule, and by a veiled racism, an unfortunate fact is still verified nowadays in Brazil. Very sad. And plus, to avoid another winning in the 1924 championship by a team of black and poor men, Botafogo, Fluminense, and Flamengo, followed by Bangu and São Cristóvão, St. Christopher's, left the Metropolitan League to create the Metropolitan Athletic Sports Association. It's important to mention that was the beginning of the football professionalization here in Brazil. The statute of the new league contained absurd clauses in which was evident the false nobility of the amateur sports spirit. The impediment to inscription of players without a defined profession and illiterate aimed right to Vasco that gathered black and poor men, as well as prohibition to clubs that did not have their own stadiums. So, in that context, the Metropolitan Athletic Sports Association requested Vasco to exclude 12 of their players that, not by a coincidence, were all black and factory workers. Pure racism. The Clube de Regatas Vasco da Gama Rowing Club, refused the proposal readily, and by a letter sent by its president, the club showed its total indignation to the racial discrimination, still known today by team supporters as the historical answer, whose text is nowadays shown in its trophy hall as one of the club's conquests. Victim of its adversaries' racism, it was left to Vasco a competition of lower expression, the championship of the abandoned Metropolitan League. But society charges the new league for its former champion, and Vasco struggled to make part of the new league. Once other teams gave in to pressure made by a growing number of Vasco supporters and accepted their whole team with just one condition: Vasco should have its own stadium. Well, it's important to say that the acceptance of black and mixed race men by the clubs began in the long, but took too many years to these new accepted people in the sport take part in the social activities of the clubs. A real shame. The Vasco answer was the construction of the biggest stadium in South America, until Maracanã, that was built for the World Cup of 1950. It was opened in April 21st of 1927 and received the name of Vasco da Gama Stadium, Estádio Vasco da Gama in Portuguese. Also called São Januário, St. January, because of one of the main streets name that leads to the stadium. This stadium is still used today as home for national and international matches, different from other clubs' first stadiums that nowadays are quite useless or used to practice. A fact known by few people is that Vasco donated 2 warplanes to the Brazilian Air Force during World War II. After the Germans had sank Brazilian merchant ships, Brazil joined to the Allies, and in the war effort, when Vasco former champions sold their medals to help the Brazilian Expeditionary Force, and even a telescope was donated by the club to the Navy. The Vasco supporters gathered all the money they could, as was made to build this stadium, and donated 2 of the best planes available in 1942. The 2 planes carried the Christ's Order Cross, as well as its players' uniforms, and in the Portuguese ship sails that arrived here in 1500 to colonize these lands. This video was not thought to talk about the 4 times Vasco won the main Brazilian championship, when it was unbeaten champion of the South American Championship, the Liberators of America champion in the centenary year, nor champion of Mercosul Cup in a historic turntable match against Palmeiras. This video was made to show that Vasco da Gama's biggest victories were on struggling for equality and liberty, equality and respect. And that's why Vasco da Gama is the club that is the most important sports club here in Brazil. Well, I hope you have enjoyed. I beg you to click a like, subscribe my channel and share it with your soccer fan friends. If you want to be a member of this historical and important club, I will let the link for membership page in the description of this video. Well, if you want to know more about Brazil, ask me questions in the commentaries. Maybe I'll make some new videos in English. And see you later.